I also want to ask you this morning, should well-off pensioners lose their winter fuel allowance? Nick Clegg, the leader of the Liberal Democrats and the Deputy Prime Minister, has suggested that wealthy people should be stripped of their universal benefits. Let's speak to Ryan Bourne, who is Head of Economic Research at the Centre for Policy Studies. Hello, Ryan.
Good morning. Hi.
And you agree with Nick Clegg, don't you?
Well, I think so on this, yeah. I think you've got to consider that we've got an ageing population, and with the public finances in the state that they are, these benefits are only going to get more and more expensive over the next 10 to 15 years. So it makes sense to try to make savings in this area, because otherwise we're going to have to increasingly tax the working population and squeeze the working population to get more and more out of them, and that's going to be really damaging to the incentive to work in this country. When
people think of the benefits that you get as a pension, I mean, the bus pass would only be used by people who are generally either poor or, who don't want to spend the money on their car anyway, but it wouldn't really be used by the better off, I don't think, the bus pass. But the winter heating allowance, many pensioners would say, look, the couple of £100 they get, even if they've got a fair few quid in the bank, it's just a welcome addition at a tough time of the year and helps them get through.
Well, I think, we've got to look at, first off, are these winter fuel payments well targeted? The idea initially behind them, supposedly from Gordon Brown, was that they'd help with fuel poverty. Well, actually, organisations like the Institute for Fiscal Studies have shown that they're not very well targeted in achieving these aims. I do agree, obviously, they help supplement pensioner incomes, but we've got to look at the bigger picture here. The state doesn't have its own money. It has to take money from somewhere. And with a shrinking working population, we're going to have to tax them more and more to raise this money to give to an increasing pensioner population. And
although, Ryan, if it's a means-tested benefit, as many benefits are, of course, then you're going to have a whole nother world of administration, of bureaucracy, of people checking your income and your assets. Well, that's going to cost millions, if not billions, purely in cost and efficiency terms. Isn't it better to say simply, right, you're over 65, there's your winter heating allowance. If you don't want it, give it away.
Well, at the moment it's over 60, so it's worse than the situation you implied there. But there are several ways you could look at doing this. Means testing is one of them. I don't actually think that would be that expensive, because actually you could restrict it to people currently receiving pension credit, which is already means tested, so the administration's already there. But you could take the argument of Frank Field and say, well, actually what we should be looking at doing, given that more pensioners are working and have better income streams than they used to, is actually just gradually raise the age at which you're eligible for winter fuel payments over time. Or, we could phase it out. We could say, anyone over the next 5 years, say, the eligibility age rises, so that this is a long-term transition, and we're not taking money immediately away from people who thought they'd be getting it. That might be a fairer way of doing it, yes.
Interesting stuff. Ryan Bourne, the Head of Economic Research at the Centre for Policy Studies, agrees with Nick Clegg.